My fiancée got back in touch with her ex while we were on a break, and then, like a ghost, she disappeared on me for weeks. When she finally showed up again, she was acting like we were still headed for a wedding. But I had a surprise of my own she didn't see coming. Haley, she's 24. I'm 26, had been my girlfriend for 4 solid years. She's sharp, always quick with a joke, and has this rare way of making you feel like you're the only person in the world that matters when she talks to you. I popped the question last year, and we dove into planning a summer wedding. Things seemed to be rolling smoothly, at least from where I stood. Then one day, she told me she was heading back to her hometown to hang out with her sister. Now, Haley's really tight with her family, and it had been a while since she'd seen them, so nothing about that seemed strange. She packed a bag, gave me a quick kiss, and said she'd be back in a couple of weeks. At first, I didn't think anything of it. We were still texting here and there, and she even called me that first night to let me know she'd arrived okay. But the very next day, something felt off. She called again in the afternoon and told me, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." I said, "Sure. What's going on?" That's when she hit me with, "I think I need some time to think." I was caught off guard and asked, "Think about what? Is this about the wedding? Are you feeling overwhelmed or something? Did I screw up somehow?" But she didn't give me any real answers, just said she needed a little space for herself. I didn't want to push too hard, so I said, "All right, if you need some time, I get it. Just, please keep me in the loop." She promised we'd talk again soon, but the whole exchange felt weird. When the call ended, I sat there staring at my phone, wondering what the hell had just happened. After that, she pretty much dropped off the face of the earth. I sent her a few texts, just casual stuff like, "Hey, hope your day's going well," or "just thinking about you," but she never replied. I called, but she wouldn't answer. Even her social media went dead, which was strange as hell. She usually posts everything from her morning latte to whatever sunset she spotted that day. I eventually reached out to her sister, hoping she might give me some insight. All I got was a short text, "Haven't seen her much. Sorry." That didn't help at all. It felt like I was being shut out by everyone. I started losing sleep. My buddies told me to chill out, that maybe she just needed a little breather. But that didn't sit right with me. This just wasn't like her. Haley had never been the kind of person to go radio silent, especially not with me. What made it worse was how sudden it all happened. Just a week before she left, we were literally picking out flower arrangements. No fights, no signs that anything was wrong. I kept replaying every single conversation we'd had, wondering if I'd missed something. But everything seemed perfectly fine until it wasn't. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she really did just need a little time. Maybe she was dealing with something she couldn't explain yet. But as the days turned into weeks, my patience started wearing thin. If something was up, why couldn't she just be honest with me? That's when the questions started creeping in. Was she actually staying with her sister? Or was there someone or something else going on? I hated thinking that way, but the silence was messing with my head. I spent night after night staring at my phone, hoping to see a text or a missed call that never came. Each day felt heavier than the one before. I tried diving into work, hanging out with friends, anything to distract myself. But nothing helped. It was like my whole world was frozen. After a couple of weeks of dead air from Haley, I'd had enough. I mean, come on, how much space does one person really need? If she wasn't going to tell me what was going on, I was going to find out myself. So I threw some clothes into an overnight bag, filled up the gas tank, and headed to her hometown. It was a long drive, which gave me plenty of time to brace myself for whatever awkward conversation might be waiting for me. I kept telling myself it was probably just stress. Maybe I was overthinking things. But deep down, I had a sinking feeling that something was off. When I pulled up to her parents' place, where I figured she was staying, my heart was pounding. I knocked on the door. For a second, I thought nobody was home. But then Haley opened it. One look at her face, and I could tell she hadn't expected to see me. She froze in the doorway, staring at me like I was a surprise quiz she forgot to study for. After a beat, she stepped aside and let me in, mumbling something about not thinking I'd actually show up. We sat down in the living room, but it felt completely different from the comfort I usually felt around her. Instead of the easy back and forth we always had, she started with small talk. "How was the drive? Did you hit traffic? Want a drink?" She was trying way too hard to make it feel normal. I played along for a minute, answering her questions short and clipped. But I didn't drive all that way to talk about road conditions. Then came a long, awkward silence. She zoned out, and when she finally looked back at me, I asked, "Haley, what's going on? Why haven't you been returning my calls or texts? She answered quickly, but her voice was soft, almost like she didn't want me to hear it. I've been trying to figure some things out. Figure what out? I asked, trying to keep my tone even. She paused, unsure of how to explain herself. The silence dragged on, and I could feel my pulse thudding in my ears. Then she finally said it. I ran into my ex when I got here. It was like the ground shifted under my feet. I just stared at her, trying to make sense of what I'd just heard. I asked, keeping my voice as calm as I could, though my stomach was already turning. What do you mean? She said it wasn't planned, that she saw him at the grocery store and they just started talking. But that word, talking, hit me like a brick. It wasn't just that she'd bumped into her ex. That could happen to anyone. It was the way she said it, like it didn't matter, when clearly, it did. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting there having that conversation. I leaned in, trying not to lose it. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Her eyes darted away from mine. I didn't want to upset you until I knew how I felt. How you felt? I repeated, my voice rising. We're engaged, Haley. We're planning a wedding. What do you mean, how you felt? That's when she finally let it all out. I've been spending time with him, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I needed to see if there were any unresolved feelings. For a second, I couldn't even find the words. My head was spinning. Unresolved feelings? We're supposed to be getting married, and she's out here emotionally circling back with her ex? I just needed to be sure, she said. I didn't want to walk into our marriage with doubts. As soon as she said it, I felt my chest tighten. My hands curled into fists. So all this time you've been ignoring me because of him? I couldn't hold it in anymore. Why didn't you just tell me from the beginning? Why did you shut me out like that? She tried to jump in, but I wasn't finished. What does this even mean for us, Haley? Are you still trying to figure things out? Because I'm not going to sit here twiddling my thumbs while you decide if I'm your first choice or just some backup plan. Her face twisted like she was about to cry, but instead she said, I didn't want to hurt you. I needed time to sort out my emotions. I just shook my head. Do you even hear yourself? Leaving me in the dark for weeks was way worse than just being honest from the start. After that, the conversation went nowhere. Round and round we went. Every time I asked for a real answer, she'd dodge it, tossing out half reasons about needing clarity and not wanting to make a mistake. I could feel all my energy draining out of me, like air from a popped tire. By the time we stopped talking, I was done. Like, really done. I stood up, looked at her one last time, and said, I need some time to think, just like she had told me. Her eyes went wide, clearly not expecting that. But I didn't stick around for a response. I grabbed my keys and walked right out. The drive back was one of the strangest, slowest drives I've ever taken. I wasn't angry in a throw something through a wall kind of way. But I was hurt. Deep down, gut level hurt. I kept going over everything she'd said, trying to make sense of it all. Unresolved feelings? What the hell does that even mean? Why didn't she just come to me and talk? Instead, she disappeared and left me hanging. The days that followed were kind of a haze. I went to work, but I wasn't really present. People asked if I was okay, and I gave the usual brush off. Yeah, just tired. My friends checked in too, but I didn't have the energy to get into the mess. Eventually, I told a couple of them what happened. Their reactions were about what you'd expect, shock and a lot of pissed off. My buddy Ryan was like, dude, that's seriously messed up. She should have told you the second that guy popped up. Brianna didn't sugarcoat it. If she's even considering her ex while she's engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you. Hearing them say it out loud hit me harder than I thought it would. It made the whole situation feel real. And honestly, it also made me feel kind of stupid. How did I not see this coming? Were there warning signs I just brushed off? The thing that cut the deepest was how caught off guard I felt. We were building a life together, choosing venues, picking a future neighborhood, even tossing around baby names. And now, all of that felt like a joke. I started digging through our old texts, hoping I'd find some clue, some red flag I'd missed. But everything looked normal. Hell, things had seemed happy, even, right up until the day she left for her hometown. It's like something flipped the moment she ran into her ex. One night, I messaged her sister. I wasn't trying to stir up drama. I just needed something to hold on to, some kind of clarity. All she said was, I think Haley's just dealing with some stuff. She'll figure it out. Figure it out? What was there to figure out? We were a team, or at least I thought we were. Now I was sitting here alone while she tried to decide if I was good enough to come back to. A week later, I got a text from Haley. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even an explanation. Just a casual, "Hey, how are you?" Like nothing had happened. I didn't answer. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? "Hey, I'm great. Thanks for ghosting me while you caught up with your ex." The silence between us stretched out longer with every day. And the more time passed, the more I started to feel like whatever we had was slipping away. I wasn't even sure I wanted to fix it anymore. Could I ever forgive her? Could I trust her again? And yet, I felt stuck. We weren't just breaking up. We were unraveling a whole life we'd planned together. That's not the kind of thing you just walk away from without thinking twice. The idea of starting over was terrifying. But staying in something fake? That was worse. I started asking myself what I wanted, what I deserved. And the truth was, I couldn't keep pretending this was okay. I couldn't marry someone who didn't respect me enough to just be honest. I couldn't build a life with someone who thought it was fine to put me on pause while she sorted out feelings for someone else. By the end of that week, I'd made up my mind. If Haley wanted to make things right, it would take a hell of a lot more than one lazy, half-hearted text. And even then, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to look at her the same way again. I didn't text her back. She didn't follow up either. And the silence between us started to feel like an answer on its own. Honestly, as painful as it was, it also brought a weird sense of peace. I was adjusting to the quiet. It wasn't exactly pleasant, but it gave me space to think. I had finally accepted that Haley probably wasn't coming back, and in some strange way, I was okay with that. I wasn't trying to distract myself with dating or parties or anything like that. I just focused on picking up the pieces and getting my footing again. Then, out of nowhere, she showed up. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was halfway through rewatching some random show I didn't even like, just to keep my mind occupied. There was a knock at the door. I figured it was a package or maybe Ryan swinging by. But nope. It was Haley. She was standing there like nothing ever happened, wearing a smile like she was dropping off cookies for a neighbor. "Hey," she said, all casual, like she hadn't disappeared on me for weeks. I just stood there, wondering if I was hallucinating. Hey," I finally said, stepping aside to let her in. She walked in like she still lived there, commenting on how clean the place was. Then she sat down on the couch, patted the seat next to her, and said, "We need to talk." I braced myself, expecting a real apology, maybe even a bit of honesty. But instead, she dove right into talking about the wedding. "Our venue's still holding the date," she said, like we'd been texting this whole time. "And I was thinking we should go with lavender for the table settings. It's timeless, don't you think?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I cut her off right in the middle of her sentence. "Haley, what are you doing here?" She looked at me like I'd asked the dumbest question in the world. "I'm here to fix things," she said, all matter of fact. I stared at her, then let out a laugh, short and sharp, the kind of laugh that says, "Are you serious right now?" "Fix things?" I asked, leaning forward. "You mean the relationship you hit pause on while you sorted out your feelings for your ex? That relationship?" Her face went pale. "That's over," she said. She looked at me and said, "I realized I don't have feelings for him anymore. It's you I want to be with." I stood up and started pacing because sitting still felt impossible in that moment. "And you expect me to just believe that?" I said. "Like, I'm just supposed to welcome you back with open arms and pretend none of this ever happened? Do you hear how crazy that sounds?" She blinked, caught off guard by the edge in my voice. "I needed time," she said softly. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Hurt me?" I snapped. "Haley, you ghosted me for weeks. You didn't even give me a heads up. I had to drive all the way to your hometown just to find out what the hell was going on. And now you're standing here acting like it's no big deal." "That's not what I meant," she said, trying to defend herself. I was confused. I didn't know how I felt, and I didn't want to make it worse. Worse. I cut her off, throwing my hands in the air. "You did make it worse. You made it worse by vanishing and leaving me to sit in the dark while you went off, and whatever the hell that was with your ex." She opened her mouth to say something, but I didn't let her. "No, you don't get it," I said. "If you understood what this did to me, you wouldn't be here thinking we could just hit reset and carry on like nothing's changed." She looked hurt, more than before, but I didn't back down this time. "Not anymore. I made a mistake," she said quietly, eyes glossy, her voice trying to play the sympathy card. "I know I messed up, but I'm here now, and I want to make things right. I'll do whatever it takes." "Whatever it takes," I repeated, letting out a dry, bitter laugh. "You say that like it makes everything okay. But the truth is, Haley, I don't trust you. Not anymore. How do I know you won't bail the next time you get confused?" She looked down at her hands, fidgeting with her engagement ring, my ring. Seeing it still on her finger lit something up inside me. Like, After everything, she still thought she had the right to wear it? Take it off, I said. She looked up, startled. What? The ring, I said, pointing to her hand. Take it off. You don't get to keep it. Not after all this. Her eyes widened like she might argue, but after a few seconds, she slowly slid the ring off her finger and set it on the table. She stood there, watching me, like she was hoping I'd say something, anything, that would change what was happening. But I didn't. I just stared back, solid as stone. Is this really it? She asked. You're just done. Yes, I said, my voice calm and steady. I'm done. I'm not someone you can just put on hold while you figure out your feelings and come back when it's convenient. That's not love, Haley. That's selfish. Her lips trembled, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she turned around and walked to the door. That night, I sat on the couch staring at the ring. It sat there on the table like it was mocking me. The whole thing felt surreal, like I was stuck in a dream I couldn't wake up from. But one thing had become crystal clear. I made the right call. I wasn't going to be somebody's second choice. I wasn't going to be the fallback plan. I deserved more than that. And for the first time in a long time, I finally stood up for myself. Haley was gone. And to be honest, I was okay with it. That's how things stood until now. Hey, y'all. Thanks for all your comments. It means a lot. I figured I'd give you an update since things took a bit of a turn. So here goes. After Haley's little surprise visit, I found myself stuck in this weird limbo. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I also didn't have the energy to face her again. It felt like I was waist-deep in emotional quicksand. I didn't know what to do, so I did the easiest thing. I avoided the situation, kept my head down, stayed quiet. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from Tessa, one of Haley's friends. We were always friendly, but never really had one-on-one conversations. Her message was simple. Hey, just checking in. I heard about the break. Wanted to see how you're holding up. At first, I hesitated. Was this a trap? Was Haley behind it somehow? But after staring at my phone for way too long, I just replied, Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm doing okay, I guess. Tessa was surprisingly easy to talk to. She told me she'd been through something similar before and knew how rough it could be. We ended up texting back and forth for a while. And honestly, it felt good to just talk. She didn't push, didn't judge, just listened. A couple of days later, she texted me again and asked if I wanted to grab a coffee. I wasn't really feeling up to going out, but she kept nudging me. Come on, it'll be good to get out, she said. And somehow, I agreed. When we met up, it was chill. No pressure. Nothing flirty. Just two people talking. She asked about work, hobbies, even some old college memories. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone saw me, not the drama, not the wreckage, just me. Then she hit me with, you deserve someone who really sees you, who won't take you for granted. I didn't know how to respond, so I just kind of shrugged and said, yeah, I guess. Truth was, I wasn't interested in Tessa like that. She was nice, don't get me wrong, but my head was still a mess from everything with Haley. I wasn't ready, and I didn't want to lead her on. But Tessa kept texting, sending memes, asking if I wanted to hang out again. She wasn't being pushy exactly, but it was clear she was hoping something would come of it. One night, she invited me to grab dinner. I tried to politely back out, but she said, it's just dinner, don't overthink it. So I went. And man, it was awkward. She showed up looking like she was dressed for a date. I came in a hoodie and jeans. We talked, sure, but there was this tension hanging in the air, like she was feeling things out, waiting to see if I'd lean into something more. When I got home, I told myself that was it. No more one-on-one meetups with Tessa. I didn't want to send the wrong message. And I definitely didn't want any more complications. But somehow, Haley found out. I don't know if Tessa told her, or if someone else spilled the beans, or maybe Haley just has some kind of radar for sticking her nose where it doesn't belong. Either way, the next day, she was at my door. No text, no warning, just banging on it like the house was on fire. I opened it, and there she was, completely worked up, ready for a fight. What the hell are you doing? She snapped, barging past me into the living room like she still had a right to be here. I shut the door behind her, already over it. Nice to see you too, Haley. What do you want? She spun around, eyes blazing. You've been hanging out with Tessa, my friend? I crossed my arms and kept my tone even. Okay, and what gives you the right to question what I do? Seriously, on what planet do you think you get to ask me about anything anymore? You don't think I have a right? She shot back. She's my friend. This is humiliating. I let out a short, dry laugh. Humiliating? Haley, come on. We're done. You don't get to play the victim here. Her face twisted like she couldn't believe I wasn't just taking it. So that's it? You're just moving on. I shrugged. What did you think was going to happen? That I'd sit around waiting while you figured out if I'm still worth your time? I came back because I realized I still love you, she yelled. Too late, I said flatly. Honestly, maybe you should just go back to your ex. Seems like you're real comfortable crawling back to the past. Her face flushed bright red, jaw clenched tight like she was holding everything in. Are you serious right now? She hissed. Dead serious, I said, not blinking. You didn't hesitate to run to him before. Why stop now? Might as well save us all the trouble. And then she lost it. You don't get to act like you're better than me, she shouted. If you think I'm just going to let this slide. Let what slide? I cut in. That I've moved on? That I don't want this mess anymore? Haley, it's not my problem now. She glared at me, pure fire in her eyes. You'll regret this, she said, voice like ice. Don't think I won't make you regret it. I walked over, opened the door wide, and gestured toward it. Go ahead, Haley. Threaten me all you want. But you don't get to be part of my life anymore. She stared at me for a second, like she thought I'd changed my mind, then turned on her heel and stormed out. I locked the door behind her and exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for weeks. Whatever she planned to do next, I didn't care. I was done, and nothing about that was going to change. Final update. All right, folks, here's how it all wrapped up. After Haley stormed off, the silence that followed felt different. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't tense. It felt peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I owed her anything. I didn't feel guilty. It was over, and I was good with that. A couple of days later, Tessa texted me, asked if I wanted to grab lunch. I hesitated. Tessa had been supportive when everything with Haley fell apart, but I was starting to think she saw us as more than just friends. I didn't want to give her the wrong idea, but I figured one lunch wouldn't hurt. And if anything, I could use the time to set the record straight. We met up, and things felt relaxed at first, just small talk, nothing deep. But under the surface, there was this vibe I couldn't ignore. She laughed a little too hard, leaned in a little too close, gave me these looks like she was waiting for me to make a move. Halfway through the meal, I decided I couldn't drag it out any longer. Hey, Tessa, I said. I really appreciate you being there for me lately. You've helped more than you probably know. But I just want to be clear. I'm not looking for anything beyond friendship. Her face dropped for a second, but she caught herself quick. Oh, of course, she said, brushing it off. I didn't mean to make things weird. I smiled, genuinely grateful she took it well. Thanks. I just didn't want any confusion. We wrapped up lunch and went our separate ways. I figured that was that. But as I was heading back to my car, I saw someone down the block leaning against a streetlight, pretending to scroll on her phone. It was Haley. I'd know her posture anywhere. She wasn't just there. She was watching. I froze. Thought about calling her out. But really, what would that accomplish? She'd deny it. It'd turn into another mess. So I got in my car and drove off, pretending I hadn't seen her. Over the next week, I kept spotting her, never obvious, but never far. Her car parked near my place. A glimpse of her ducking down a grocery aisle. Just enough to let me know she was still around. She didn't call, didn't text, just hovered, like she was waiting for me to reach out. One evening, I went out to grab takeout, and there was her car again, sitting far enough away to look casual if you weren't paying attention. But I was. When I got home and saw it parked near my house again, I'd had enough. I didn't go confront her. Instead, I walked inside, locked the door, and sent her a message. Haley, I've noticed you around. Stop following me. This isn't healthy, and it's not going to change anything. No response. I didn't expect one. But the next day, her car was gone. And the days that followed? Peaceful. No more lurking. No more sightings. It finally felt like she was out of my life for real. Tessa texted me a couple more times, but I kept it friendly. Distant. I wasn't about to get caught in another emotional maze. Right now, I needed to focus on getting my life back, one piece at a time. Maybe Haley's still out there somewhere, watching, waiting. But she doesn't get to control even a second more of my time. I'm done. And this time, for good. If there's one thing I know for sure after all of this, I deserve better. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story.